Hi there, I'm going to give you a tour of the latest version of the Apipheny API connector for Google Sheets. If you don't already have Apipheny installed, click Extensions, Add-ons, and Get Add-ons, then search for Apipheny and click the Install button. Once you have Apipheny installed, you'll see it here in your Extensions menu, and you can click Import API to open the Apipheny add-on. Once you have the Apipheny add-on open, you can enter your API URL right here, and you can change your method if you need to. If you need to enter any headers, you can enter those right here. And if you need to do pagination, you can choose from these pagination types. Now let's go ahead and run our request. So you can see here, I've imported a cat fact into my Google Sheet from a cat fact API URL. Now let's say I wanted to only import column A and not column B. So what I can do is click the preview button, click run, and then the response viewer will open and it shows me which fields will be imported into my Google Sheet. So if I don't want to import the length column, then I can just uncheck that one, scroll down, click save, close, and now when I run my API request, you can see that we only imported column A and not column B. The response viewer also has the option to change the column heading name. So right now it says fact. We can change that to, for example, cat fact. And we also have the option to filter for certain values. So if we wanted specific values, if we only wanted to import specific values that either equal to or are greater than or less than, we can specify those here in the response viewer. Okay, great. Now let me show you some of the settings here in the settings tab. So starting with the start from setting, if we wanted to, for example, start from column B instead of column A, this is an alternative to using the response viewer. We can just say start from .fact and it'll start from that specific column. For example, in addition to that, we also have append mode, which appends the next set of results at the end of the sheet instead of overwriting the data currently in the sheet. And we also have include date and timestamp, and I'll show you all of these in a second, as well as inherit values. So now that we have append mode and include date and time selected, now when I click run, you can see that we not only have a column added with the date stamp, but we also have the results appended to the end of the current sheet instead of overwriting the results that were already in the sheet. Okay, so next up, I'm gonna save this request. So let's go ahead and save this request and call it cat fact API. And after we click the save button, it gets added here in the Manage tab. I can click on the saved request to edit the request name, to edit the sheet, the name of the sheet that the results get imported into. I can change the URL, the headers, the pagination, and the settings, and I can save it. So you can edit your saved requests, and you can also run all of your saved requests here from the Manage tab or individually if you want. The other thing I want to show you here in the Manage tab is that when you save an API request, you also get a custom formula created for that request. So you can see here, I have a formula for the cat fact API that I saved. So now if I come over to my sheet and I paste this formula, instead of importing the results starting in cell A1, I can paste the formula anywhere in my sheet, and the results will start from that cell. And there's a lot of other ways to use the formula too, and our tutorial explains some different customizations you can make to it. Okay, so moving on past the Manage tab, we're now going to go over to the Schedule tab. In the Schedule tab, you can create a scheduled request. What this means is that if I want this data to update or refresh every, for example, hour, day, week, or month, I can specify that here. So let's name this CatFact API scheduled request. We're going to choose the CatFact API that we saved in our Manage tab. And in this case, I'm going to choose every hour. So now when I click Save, this request that I saved, the CatFact API, which is set to import data from this URL and also to append the results, this request is going to run every hour and the data will get appended to the end of this sheet every hour. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to show you today in this demo is how to reference a range of cells. So for this next example, we're going to use this API from Coinbase, which is a cryptocurrency exchange. And you can see that this API URL is set to import the price of Ethereum. So if we run this request, we can see that the current price of Ethereum is $1,600. So let's say we wanted to run this request for multiple cryptocurrencies. So what I'm going to do is come over to a new sheet and I'm going to type some values here. So I'm going to type Ethereum, Bitcoin, and how about Doge? So you can see that I have ETH in cell B4, BTC in cell B5, and Doge in cell B6. So instead of typing ETH here into my URL, what I can do is enter 3 curly brackets, followed by the sheet name, which is sheet 4, an exclamation mark, then the cells I want to reference. I can either reference a single cell, for example, cell B4, and then I can close it out with 3 more curly brackets, or I can add an additional column and add an ending cell, which in this case will be cell B6. So I'll add B6 here. So what we did is we said we want to reference a range of values from sheet 4, cells B4 to B6. And now let's go ahead and run this request. Perfect. So you can see that we imported the price of all 3 cryptocurrencies that we referenced from sheet 4. Another option that you can use, another feature in Apipheny that you can use is the option to enter multiple API URLs. So what I can do here, instead of entering just one API URL, I can enter multiple. So I'll enter the first one as the Ethereum, the second one for Bitcoin, and the third one for Doge. So when I click run, the same thing will happen. And you can see the same thing happen as when we referenced the values from the sheet as when we entered multiple API URLs. So depending on what you're trying to do exactly will determine whether you reference a range of cells or enter multiple URLs or even use the pagination settings. So that's an overview of the latest features in Apipheny. And I hope you enjoy using Apipheny. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know. And thanks for watching.